Okay. What's going on, everybody? My name is Brent, and welcome to a special episode of the Work in Progress After Dark podcast. It's not quite dark here yet, but it should be. It's 8:30, damn it. Anyways, um, okay, so we're here to talk about the highly anticipated PlayStation Showcase. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this show off. Normally, I want to hear what everybody else has to say first, but I'm gonna go ahead and kick this thing off. Um, uh, that wasn't good. That was not good. That was not a good showcase. Not at all. Like, there was like three things that carried that show, and that's it. Like that. I mean, maybe not even three things. I thought like, what was it? Phantom Blade or Phantom, whatever the
Yeah,
heck.
Phantom Blade Zero, I think.
Phantom Blade Zero was fantastic. Sure, they showed some Final Fantasy 16. Okay, cool. And then of course Spider-Man. That was you know, I could definitely be classified as a Sony pony, and that was bad. That was so bad. Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. That was awful in so many ways. It's gonna be Xbox is gonna have to really mess up in a month.
Oh yeah, yeah.
To like, they're gonna have to really mess up in order to lose. Like, you want to know why this showcase was so bad? It was because literally 2 minutes after the showcase, Xbox is posting like a vast majority of the games that were featured in this showcase that are also going to be available on Xbox. Like, it's just like,
Exactly, dude.
it's like what? It was like, what was that? Like, I would so I keep my expectations low for everything in order for me to find like some level of enjoyment. But like I was sitting there and look, like, not every game is going to be for everyone, but like I was hoping that, like, because like this was like the first showcase in like a year and a half, that like that was a glorified state of play.
Maybe you're being
Like,
polite.
I am being polite when I say that. that was like, I mean, okay, they showed that handheld device thing, which is cool, but like I think you have to, I don't know, I think you have to be within close proximity of your PlayStation to use it. I don't but
I think it's just Wi-Fi. You got to be on Wi-Fi. That's for sure. So it's not like it has like a data plan or anything like that. You have to be like at a Starbucks or at your house. But so like I don't know like who that's really aimed towards. You know, like I don't know who that's marketed for, but
I was quite disappointed. I don't know what. I was hoping to see more first party stuff. I was like, okay, if they had showed something of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I would have been like, okay, this is like acceptable, because you're showing like what is basically a first party title. I'm putting in quotes because it's not technically a first party title, but it will be treated as such. So you basically get two, like if they had shown Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Spider-Man 2, then we would have had, like, I think it would have been acceptable with just those two things. But we got a whole bunch of stuff that we like, there was a lot of not real, it's like not in-game footage. It was just like CGI trailers that you'll never see again. Yeah, it was
pretty much.
Lucas, what were your thoughts on it? You're kind of you're the resident super Xbox fan. I know that Jeremiah here is also an Xbox fan, but I have brought him over to the dark side a little bit.
I try to be neutral, guys. I told you I'm a PSP fan. That's never coming back, so you know.
Right, but Lucas, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, man, like I've told you before, like I had a PlayStation 4, so like that was my last gen console. And then this gen, I don't know, there's just something about the appeal of Game Pass and yada yada yada. But I mean, I also have my Switch, and then I play PC like Steam and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which nowadays, like a lot of the stuff that comes out on PlayStation now will go to Steam at some point. So like that's also something. But like you could say the same about Xbox. But anyways, the show, man, was it was pretty long too. I don't know if you guys felt like it felt like it was like I think it was over an hour. And you know, I try to be open minded. I was wanting to see something really exciting. I think we're all conditioned to expect like Nintendo Direct level of surprises and like grand finales. Like, hey, before we go, we got one more thing. But the thing that this showcase did that technique was with Spider-Man 2, which we already knew like was going to come out. Like Final Fantasy, we already knew was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the titles, like not even to say for Xbox, but they were just third party. Like they weren't even exclusives. And that's like one of Sony's biggest flexes in that conversation is like, yo, we have exclusives. To me, it's like, okay, you have Final Fantasy coming out in June, and then you have Spider-Man, and they didn't even give a release date. It was like fall. We don't know. But
well, it's my understanding that it will be in fairly direct competition with Starfield.
Really, that's going to be fun to watch. But you know, like I have like literally 4 games that I was like, other than Spider-Man 2, that I could just quickly just tell you like that I was like, yeah, that looks cool. And honestly, all these games, I think except for Phantom Blade Zero, is going to be on like other, you know, other hardware. But Metal Gear Solid, that remake, that was pretty cool. Alan Wake 2, and then Dragon's Dogma 2. Those were like the only titles, man. Because I don't do the VR stuff, dude. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys have a VR headset?
I get
don't
motion
believe
sickness.
VR.
Those are like the weirdest thing to advertise, bro. Like when you watch
Like-
those like trailers, it's just floating hands. I'm like, dude, this probably looks so cool with the
Like,
headset on, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, in theory, like I think it's cool, but like, and if I didn't get motion sickness, then you know I'd probably check it out. But
Absolutely.
I like I would probably I'd probably like be throwing up half the time trying to use the thing, just like
Yeah.
But yeah, now I will say like Resident Evil 4 VR looks sick, but
Yeah,
once
that's
again,
cool.
it's one of those things that I'm not gonna ever play.
Yeah.
But it's cool that it exists, right? Like that they're doing that. Like the Resident Evil VR anything I've heard is really, really scary.
I mean, like Spider-Man was the only saving grace of that entire thing. There were some really interesting indie titles, I'll give it that. There were some really I mean, what was that? Cat Game? No, just kidding. Like there were a couple of indie titles that looked interesting, even though I'll never play them. I mean, but I can see the appeal to other people and why like that would appeal to other people. But yeah,
Indie games are like small businesses, bro. Like everybody wants to root for them and go, yeah, indies, but like nobody really supports them a lot of the time. Like that's how because everybody's like, yo, shop local.
Hastings. I got it. It's like Hastings.
Exactly.
Like everyone loves Hastings now that it's gone.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. It's like Toys R Us and maybe even like GameStop someday to some degree, you know?
Kmart.
Kmart, yeah. I love me some
Kmart.
Kmart.
I do think that it is so like it's cool that like I will say that it is cool that like Sony is honoring the agreement that they made with Bungie that they will essentially remain a third party like developer under the Sony wing, because like Sony could have easily pulled some bullshit and like made Marathon completely like a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
And Marathon was something from the 90s. I remember them using Marathon footage in classic Red versus Blue. Simply because it was just another Bungie game. Right? Didn't they use Marathon footage during the season 3 flashback stuff?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Oh man. Did you Lucas? Did you ever watch Red versus Blue? Please tell me you watched Red versus.
I watched like sporadic random episodes.
Oh, okay.
That's all you need. That's all you need, bro.
Like I didn't go hard into it, but I have seen Red versus Blue, but
Oh,
I
man.
don't know anything about Marathon, dude. So this is like the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody really knows anything about Marathon unless they've watched Red versus Blue.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild. What a throwback, though. That's kind of a cool deep cut.
Unless you're like maybe 15 years older than I am, and gamed, gamed that way back in the 90s, like the people of Red versus Blue did. So, so Jeremiah, your thoughts.
So, and here's where I really shine, guys. I'm the idealist, okay? And my thing was, it's not as terrible as what you're thinking it was. Although there was a high expectation for some first-party titles, and of course they brought that, with
they
a few
didn't.
games. They brought out a few games, first-party titles: Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, but that's like
They brought
2
that.
out of an hour.
That's 2.5
over an hour.
Hold on. By that point, you can't say that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth would have saved this. We would have at least needed 2 more than if it's that terrible. My thing is, there were some pretty interesting games. I feel like they missed the mark on certain things they could have made. I understand, for instance, a Helldivers 2, because Helldivers 1 was decent, from what I'm understanding from people I've been talking to. But I'm not going to lie, when that first started, I was like, are we getting an MF and Starship Troopers game to rival the Steam game out right now? Like, are we getting
That's what
this?
I thought, dude.
I was excited, and then I was not as excited. So I had to ask some of my friends on the other side, like, guys, what is Helldivers? Yeah, like, oh, it's fun. It's tight, Fair Games, the starting game right out the gate is like, oh, I get it. Some type of live service, fun little mess your friends around. That's funny, or mess other people around. Some things that caught my eye were things like Swords of the Sea. Mostly maybe in the cinematics. I was really hopeful. That whole sea of sand waving and moving, just like what I brought up with Hi-Fi Rush, one of the biggest things that showcases for this gen is the ability to have all of these parts moving at the same time with seemingly no issue. So I'm hoping that that's going to be a part of the game's aesthetically beautiful game, utilizing all these principles, these independent movement variables and things like that. So that was really cool. A couple of games that were interesting to me was the fact that Snake Eater is getting a little. Is that a remaster or a remake?
It's a remake. So my issue with Snake Eater,
that's
though,
beautiful.
My issue with the Snake Eater advertisement is that it was not an in-game. It was not in-game footage. It said that down at the bottom, not in-game footage or whatever that word was.
Yeah.
And which leads me to believe that the game is at least 2 years out minimum.
What? 2 years?
Maybe. I mean, just the fact that that is pretty hype for a lot of the Metal Gear Solid game lovers. I know of at least 3 people that are freaking out right now. Same thing with the Talos Principle 2. Alan Wake 2, maybe. I think Isaac really liked that one, So some of these, though, were from what I was seeing both in the comments and from some things I heard from some of my friends who do play PlayStation, was that, well, I mean, it was unexpected, but nice,
Mm-hmm.
But I will give you most of everything else that came out, other than the aesthetics, wasn't really catching me. In fact, a couple of these things seem like almost blatant ripoffs, like Foam Stars.
That's
so
Splatoon.
That's just Splatoon. Splatoon 5, what was the other one? Tower of Agaspa. Oh, so you just want your own Breath of the Wilds. Got it. That's all. It's good. It's fine. These 2 things, I was like, all right. And then the Lego game was weird. I don't remember the name of that.
Oh, there he is. There's Stevie. Hey.
Hi, Stevie.
Hey. We're about to have a good full party here. Oh, that's not right. I don't like that. That freaked me out for a second. Hey. Okay, so just a quick recap. My Sony pony ass thought that was disappointing. Lucas at Wondersoul thought it was disappointing, and Jeremiah is giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Oh yeah.
So okay,
there
go
are
ahead.
some games that look fun. There are some games that look like even that cat game. Although it is definitely the thirdest of parties. Like I would still like. I was like, that's cute. And when my wife sees that, man, she's gonna play that. It doesn't matter the price, guys. It's gonna get bought. It's cats. She paid $2 for some random cat game on Switch that she only played once, but she loves that she has it. It is just a thing. Was it Dragon's Dogma Dragon's Dogma 2 has come out, and that's hype. That
Mhm.
That
has
was
its own
fire.
huge following. Like that's a great game coming there. I feel like there are some gems. They might not be the emeralds and diamonds and rubies you were looking for, but
But
the silver.
today Sony needed some of those emerald and diamonds and those rubies. Okay, seriously
Why
though,
do they need them though? Like, why do they need them? This is coming off the tail end of Redfall. We've already seen that for the most part, Sony's doing pretty decently, and everyone's super hyped for a couple of games coming out.
Coming at
Did
my
they really
boys.
need it?
Well, the only benefit of the doubt that I could give it here is that the other games that are in the pipeline. So I think like there's an original game being developed over at Sony Santa Monica. There's something cooking up over at Bend, and I think there was someplace somewhere else that's also working on something. But like the they're just not ready to show, or it's like which I can respect. It's like, okay, don't show something, but like don't make us wait 3 years for something. You know what I mean? So but like I felt like I felt like there had to have been some other things that could have been shown.
Mm-hmm.
Like come on, like give us, like, I know that Final Fantasy 16 is coming out in a month, but you could have given us some Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Like give us 15 seconds of like the burning village. Like come on. Like that, like anyways, Stevie, did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I did. I was able to catch it out and about while I was doing my job, trying to be somewhat prepared for this. As just a gaming showcase, to strip PlayStation away real fast for a second. It was okay. It was
okay,
all
fair
right.
enough. Fair enough.
Sit down. I think you and I are going to be good friends. Like right now, this is like third time. But like, I already want you to come over, and try my mom's famous dish. Disappointment.
Yeah, so it was okay. As a PlayStation showcase, not throwing the name back on there. I waited 2 years for this. There was so many, E for Everyone games on there. There were so many captured on PC, not actual gameplay.
That grinded my gears so bad.
Yeah, so many. There was a decent amount of those games that were either on PS5, PC, Xbox. I mean, yeah, I was just waiting for, I don't know, a couple of those bangers. You had a lot of in the park kind of hits, but no home runs other than Spider-Man. But obviously, like that was gonna hit. I think everyone expected that.
I'm really surprised that Sony and Insomniac allowed for symbiote Spider-Man to take center stage in that showcase. I was really surprised, and that leads me to believe that, honestly, that those events that's occurring, and that is probably first 5 hours of the game. Like I could put money on that, because they're obviously Peter has to shed the symbiote for Venom to exist. So and I think that Venom will be the big bad of it. Anyways, but yeah, no, that was fantastic. It looks beautiful. That was the only thing that kind of saved that show.
Yep.
And I was telling these guys, and you probably would agree with me on this, Stevie, is that Xbox won't have to try very hard in a month.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of alluded to it a second ago. Coming off the tail end of Redfall, the CMA disaster, and all that. Like this could have been the kill shot. This could have wrecked Xbox. They're done. TKO out of there. But yeah, I mean, this was just a leg shot. They gave some room for Microsoft to bounce back, and Microsoft's on life support right now.
Yeah.
I'm still like it's not that I don't think it ain't going to be that hard. They still got a lot they got to come up with. It's just what would have been a mountain of problems is now looking more like a plateau. We can at least see the top. I don't think it's going to be an easy time by any means.
We'll see.
I don't
we'll
think
see.
so.
There's some stuff. Not only does Sony have stuff in the oven, Xbox has some stuff in the oven as well. Hellblade 2, Avowed. We'll see. I'm kind of curious to see what Xbox brings to the table.
I mean,
when is that? Early June? When is that again?
It's about a month away. I think it's like June 22nd.
Oh, okay.
Give or take. Yeah, I mean, like all they have to do, all they have to do is come out and Starfield has to have a stellar. I mean, they're getting 30 minutes dedicated just to Starfield. I mean, ultimately what's going to matter is when the games actually come out and you can play them. But like Starfield really needs to like blow it out of the water. And then within the Xbox showcase itself, I mean, if they showed some quality stuff for Avowed, if they showed some quality stuff for Hellblade, and I'm talking about gameplay, give us some gameplay. Like none of this, none of this CGI, not in-game footage bullshit. Like give us some gameplay, give us some Avowed gameplay. I hardly know what that game is about, so I want to know. I'm curious about it. Show us more Hellblade, and for Jeremiah's sake, give us some Fable.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I agree with you. Like they probably still have PTSD from that whole Halo Infinite gameplay from E3 a few years back, but at this point, you can't. It has to be. We need gameplay of Starfield, and we should be getting that, of course. Hopefully, it's not the same like one spot and then they keep talking about it for 20 minutes. That would really annoy the crap out of me. Like you're gonna have to showcase a lot, in my opinion. But yes, honestly, if they want to win and they want the easiest time, adding gameplay into their stuff is going to at least put them in a really good position, even if it's kind of meh. So, but I do want Fable. I want Fable 4 so bad.
Yeah,
but
so bad. Go ahead.
Well, like when you like compare like these companies like announcements nowadays, because we don't have E3, like Nintendo, when they do the directs, they have such a nice pacing and pattern where they open up with something big, then they sprinkle in like their third party supports. They'll even announce like, hey, this is coming from like other people. But most of that is to go, hey, this is what you can only get on a Nintendo Switch. And then like Xbox with that developer direct was like, hey, this is all at Xbox and only at Xbox. This did not feel like a Sony showcase because we have Summerfest like in a couple weeks, which are going to just like show more footage about games that you can find on all systems most of the time. And then like you have Xbox, and like not only does Xbox have the showcase, it's got its own like separate Starfield Direct right after it. So it's like the Nintendo Treehouse type stuff. So like they're going to show you gameplay and so much more. But this was really just amping up games that we already knew about and that are going to be available in other places. Like when you're doing a dedicated showcase for your brand, like it should be about your brand. I mean, but when you only have like really like three exclusives in that whole showcase.
Yeah. How about we capture something on PS5 too? Capture something on PS5.
Right. Well, I think the only thing captured on PS5 was Spider-Man, right? Or did that?
I'm not sure.
I don't think I gotta go back and look, but I don't think so.
I would imagine that it is since Jim Ryan has stated that none of their games are going to be going to PC for at least 2 or 3 years. So I would imagine that that's all caught on PS5.
Is that the gap?
That's what the gap, the 2-3 year gap.
Yeah, like is that like what Sony's doing now?
He said that last week.
But how do you word it though? He worded it kind of weird, didn't he? He's like, we've asked around, got some testing, asked some certain individuals. That's the general
his wording was something along the lines of that it is, he said something along the lines that it is acceptable for like a 2 to 3 year wait, something weird like that.
Something weird, like it's acceptable like time frame, but is it guaranteed?
Right? No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But like, truth be told, like honestly, like, and I think that's somewhat of a derailment from the topic, but like, I think that is okay in the sense that if you start optimizing for too many different places all at once, then it creates some issues. I mean, we could say that about every game that has released on PC this year, along with consoles. Hogwarts Legacy, problems at launch on consoles and PC.
Survivors, that the Star Wars game that just came out.
Jedi Survivors. Yeah.
Telu when it first came out, right? I saw some footage of that game, like all whacked out on PC.
It was problematic on PC, and I was playing it on PS5 on performance mode, and I had to bring that bad boy down to 30 because it was like, usually I don't like, like my eye isn't fast enough to catch frame rate drops, but like when you go from 60 to 40 back to 40 or back to 60, I can see it. I mean, if it was just a few drops here and there, I wouldn't be able to see it, but like, it was really bad. It was bad. And then putting it back down to 30, I was like, okay, I can play this game now. What was another one that was also really bad at launch? Redfall.
Redfall.
Damn, y'all keep Redfall out of this discussion, guys. They've already been kicked while they've been down and thrown dirt on.
I don't know. Buried alive. Got it for like a month and a half until they went under. Like,
they didn't go under. They got reabsorbed. They got reabsorbed.
Oh, you're right. It's not death; it's assimilation. I've seen Star Trek. I know how.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the Borg came in and took it over.
Just get back in here,
Can I ask you guys a quick question though? Are you guys surprised now in about to be summer 23 that they're still making games for PS4? Like, when are we going to just commit fully to next gen? Like, I was kind of surprised to see so many games.
So here's the thing. So Sony first party is officially transitioning completely at Spider-Man 2.
Really? This year? So they're done this year.
They officially well, I guess one could argue that they officially transitioned with Burning Shores with Horizon Forbidden West. That is only available on PS5. So I think Sony first party going forward will be PS5 exclusively. What third party developers do is that's their call. Not necessarily, I don't know if that's necessarily like Sony's call, but it's my understanding that Sony going forward is going to be exclusively PS5. Unless it's like some like weird random indie game that one of their first party studios are working on, that could function on PS4, then why not put it on PS4? But I think the big AAA stuff is going to be going to be all PS5 going forward.
They stopped it, and of course, remember we had this conversation. I went and looked at it. I think it was an article I'd found as of like February of this year, where it was like, despite that, like they still have, I think they had just over 50 titles still slated for the PS4, but of course that would have probably been in development before they made that statement, So it's going forward. We can expect probably in the next year, to see like no more or maybe very few PS4 releases, I guess. But remember, because I needed that clarification, like, but things are still coming out for the PS4. What do you mean? And then I was like, I need to educate myself on the development of games.
Well, if you remember the transition from like 360 to 1, PS3 to PS4, it was about a 2-year transition. We're a little bit we're a little bit over 2 years now, but
COVID. I mean,
yeah,
COVID.
And I think that PlayStation wanted to launch God of War Ragnarok only on PS5, but there was a huge fan outcry to have it on PS4 as well. I'd have to double check on that, but I could have sworn that I read that somewhere.
I think you're right. I mean, like, didn't
the outcry would have made sense. Go ahead, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, didn't like the PS4 version of Hogwarts Legacy just get released? Like now they're doing kind of like delayed
and
releases.
Xbox One.
Yeah, and Xbox One. Yeah,
they just delayed the Switch version again.
Yeah, I cannot see that running on the Switch, dude.
Yeah. But that could be a Warner Brothers decision. I don't think that, I don't know how much Sony, plays a hand in that.
Right.
My guess is that Warner Brothers is seeing that cash roll in for one of their most successful games of all time. I think it's sold more than Elden Ring now, hasn't it? Across all systems. But yeah, so that's
I think that's more of a development issue than that. Like, it would make no sense that 2 months out that you re-release it to where people don't necessarily know that until they're told by their friends. You're missing a window of advertisement, a window to keep it going. They would have kept it within that month. I can guarantee they would have had more people buying that, but that's commerce, but they probably pushed it back because, I mean, it did have a shaky release, had some issues on running on PC and stuff. So it's like, oh gosh, a lot of games now a lot of games have, but games are kind of having shaky releases. We probably want to make sure this is pristine on the consoles that a lot of the normal, I say normal, but laymen are playing, the layman people, So I think that's why they push it back. It's just development, personally. They want to make sure it at least runs well enough to be played. Doesn't look like PS2 like Harry Potter games. So.
Hey, those were great though.
They were, but we'd be cutting into them in Gen 9, But yeah. I would play it, but I'm shameless.
So my boy Jalen just popped in. He's running a little.
Sorry, I'm late, boys. Sorry, I'm late.
Dude, you're in your car. Sketch. You're in your car, you crazy. Okay.
I sure am. You said not to do it at work, so I'm doing it in the car.
Oh my God.
Drive safe, dude.
Oh my God.
He followed your directions to a T.
Good job. He's going to be driving. Sketch. Okay. What are your thoughts? Okay. So, what are your thoughts on the showcase, Jalen?
I'll tell you my thoughts on the showcase. It was ass. Damn.
You just got off work. It's been a hard day. I get it.
Listen. Jokes aside. I gotta be. I'm disappointed, man. And the thing is, the more I had time to think about it, it's not that I'm disappointed with what was there. What was there was good. The stuff that was there, it was quality. But I'm more disappointed on the stuff that wasn't there. If this was just called a state of play, right? This would have been a fantastic state of play. A solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 state of play. But the fact that they put the showcase at the end of this, as my guy says, you have to treat it as such. So we're treating it as a showcase. There's just not enough stuff here that justifies it being called that. There were hardly any first-party titles, hardly any big questions were answered. If anything, this felt more like an Indian AA showcase, which is not what we came to see. Where the hell is Stellar Blade? Where the hell is Wolverine? Where the hell is Silent Hill 2? Where the hell is
Lost Soulicide?
Huh? What?
Lost Soulicide.
Lost. I have no idea what that is.
Oh, dude, you should check it out. You should check it out. You should look into it. It looks pretty. Sick.
He would have if they would have showed it, Brent.
He would
have. No, and you know what? I'm going to come in with that. I am treating this like a state of play. You are correct. It is called a showcase. that does hurt it, and maybe it's because I'm seeing it like a state of play. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I think these are all gonna look pretty fun, guys. I'm just trying. I just, I like to have fun. Some of these games look very fun, or they look like I'm gonna have to buy them anyways because of relational contracts, and that's okay. There are some I want to play, but I do agree. It's like for a showcase.
But you don't even need a PlayStation, though.
Need a show. Like, how many games would it need to show? Like, proportionally, are we talking half the game should have been AAA titles or at least Sony exclusives? It was a lot of games, but
less cat games. I could have done less cat games.
Yeah, exactly. I can't take any more hits to my wallet. I need less cat games, please.
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. If there was a state of play, I'd be more forgiving about the indies and the AA's. In fact, if it was a state of play, I'd probably embrace them way more. But since it's a showcase, I am okay with the indies that are thrown in there to sprinkle it out. Some would call it the filler games. I don't call it that, but that's just what we'll use for right now. But you gotta show some big shit at like a showcase. You have to. Mm-hmm. And I just don't feel like on that front, this really delivered. I mean, what do we get that was a real AAA? We got Spider-Man 2. We got Metal Gear Solid. And by the way, that collection, and I mean this one too, that collection is ass, like, the more I think about it. Because, and hear me out, because that collection is not HD. It's not a real, like, remastered. It's the original ports of, like, the collection. It's the original port of each game.
Oh, wow. So, I didn't know that.
Oh, it's just a port.
Exactly.
Oh man, that better be cheap. I better be able to go on that.
That better be included.
That better be free on Game Pass.
That shit better be on Game Pass.
Free on Game Pass Lite. PlayStation Plus.
Like, yeah. I mean, that better be on PS Plus or Premium. Okay, give it to us. Or at the very least, if you're gonna charge us, it better be like $20. Like that's not okay. That
definitely should. If they're going to put it on their streaming service, that definitely should be a PS Plus game.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's not going to get anything except for just another port, that would suck. Yeah,
that was.
Well, that's news.
So you guys,
you ever tried to force yourself to be proud of your child?
And what was that, Stevie? What was your question?
I was in that. So I feel like you guys lean a little bit more towards PlayStation than I do. So I kind of had no expectations going into this other than I'm gonna play Spider-Man. You guys waited 2 years for this showcase. So I guess what I'm gathering here is no one was really satisfied. Everyone's pretty bummed out by the.
Don't group me with them.
Oh, don't group me with them.
In the group chat that I'm in, he's probably the biggest Xbox shill there.
Okay.
Shut up.
No. Look, I love gaming. I get excited about gaming, but I don't ever get excited about these showcases. I don't care as much as a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. This might sound really bad as for being on a live show, but I am simply doing a live show on it for clout.
Well, at least you're honest about it.
Honesty is the best policy.
They may follow you,
but the thing is, like, I read into expectation, and I understand based off of like what I see online, what I see people talk about, what I talk about amongst like all the different friend groups that I'm in. There was a certain expectation within this show. And even like, going into it, like, I mean, although my expectations were low, I still had some expectations, and even at my low expectations, nothing was met except for Spider-Man. So those who had high expectations that I see online, it was abysmal. Like some of the hardest of hardcore Sony people that I see on Twitter were just like, that was bad. That was so bad.
I feel like they're using other words, but yes, go ahead. I get it.
I mean,
they break out the newspaper, they're beating it against their hand, like, no, Jim Ryan, Jim Ryan.
And the thing is, I was telling Jeremiah before the show started that, like, you know, just to throw some Twitter buzzwords out there, the Xbots got a ton. They got a ton of well-deserved ammo tonight. They got a ton of well-deserved ammo tonight, and they are giving the Sony ponies on Twitter a thrashing right now, and we deserve it. We deserve it. Okay, like, so I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
This sounds like the Sony ponies backed the wrong horse this time. With that,
like I've said, it's not going to be hard for Xbox to blow their showcase out of the water. It's not going to be hard. Like the only bad thing the only potentially bad thing to come out of an Xbox showcase is a bad game. But I think the showcase in of itself should be a home run, if that makes any sense. Like,
makes perfect sense, actually, because that's the other thing I'll say about this showcase. It was paced horribly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those laser shows every time. Like, they would transition. They were just like, look at these lasers, man.
Well, whenever I saw the lasers, I was like, okay. It's like I just saw some Sony lasers. Here comes the next big thing. Here it comes.
Whenever earbuds, yes.
And then it's Cat Quest. Cat Quest, Pirate of the Caribbean, something like that.
And then we get a movie trailer and a gaming showcase.
It's like, and that was another thing. It's like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for Sony to reintroduce Twisted Metal. We just got a Twisted Metal like television show announcement. Give us a Twisted Metal game. Shit, give us a Twisted Metal live service game. Come on, anything Twisted Metal. Come on, give me some Twisted Metal. And then I was blue balled.
Well,
no.
Man, I was blue balled. Where was my freaking Stellar Blade? Where was my TNA, man? I was really blue balled.
I mean, at least we did get a little bit more for like, it's like, what did we get that was new tonight besides Spider-Man and like VR shit? Like, we did, like, I mean,
Dragon's
I guess
Dogma 2?
Was that new?
Yeah.
No, that Dragon's Dogma 2 and Talos Principle 2 or Talos Principle or whatever.
Phantom Blade 0. So okay, we did.
I'm gonna go play it on PC though. That's where I'm playing that at. I'm playing on PC.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, but my friends, here's the thing. It's not that the stuff is new. In fact, I'm personally happy that we saw a bunch of new stuff. The issue is PlayStation doesn't sell because of the new stuff. It sells because of the IPs. The fact that you can have your new stuff, but you gotta show some IPs to get people excited. The only real PlayStation IP, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, that was there was Spider-Man. Am I right?
Yeah. I would say so.
Okay.
Final Fantasy.
Are we saying on the books or the hidden love story that is Square Enix and Sony?
They're in the bed with each other. It's fine.
And there's no problem with that. Their story is one that would make sense. They're the only ones who haven't admitted it yet. They're literally the couple in that romance anime that's like, of course we're not together. No, we've never seen each other. But they're there.
It's Asta and Noelle where like where Sony is Asta and Noelle is obviously like in love with Sony, but will never admit it to themselves.
But Sony is so focused on Xbox and CMA, which would be the sister, the nun, like, no, just kidding.
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, I think that's what depresses me the most of all this. It's the fact that, because I love Xbox, I can acknowledge that they've been having a shit run of it lately, especially with like their last showcase. I think was like the developer thing back in February, right?
Dude, that was sick.
That was great. They didn't follow through.
That was a good showcase. It didn't have a lot of games outside of Hi-Fi Rush, which I thought looked incredible, and Redfall, which I thought looked neat. Didn't get me super excited, but it was neat. I would have given it like a C+ to a B- at that time. The fact that this showcase ranked lower than the 45-minute direct, and the fact that the balls are now in Xbox court, where they can actually give a showcase that's better than PlayStation. I don't remember the last time I said an Xbox showcase is better than the PlayStation one. I can't remember the last time that happened.
Yeah, I don't know if do you think Sony like felt good about this? Because like they went up like 2 weeks minimum, like ahead of everyone, right? 2-3 weeks. They like they look at this lineup and they're like, yeah. Well,
So to be fair, whenever Jim Ryan like first came out right after the first game they showcased, I was like, that's foreboding. Again, that was when I was still considering this a state of play, but I was like, don't know why you're here, but that doesn't tell me many good things. If you, I don't know why, but I just didn't feel good about it when I first saw him. You know,
He wanted
it's
to
like
tell
something
you.
tells me we're not seeing something good for a minute. You know,
He wanted to tell you about that handheld, bro. That those
the handheld,
earbuds.
the dual sense snapped in half.
Is cool. The handheld
Really
is
though?
cool.
Who's gonna buy that? Like, who is that for? Like,
no one, not a single person. But
it's gonna be expensive.
I'm trying to give the showcase some brownie points here.
What?
They literally made that probably for
potatoes.
Mm-hmm. How much do you think it's gonna run? How much do you think it's gonna run?
Over $300. 300. I'm calling it 300.
Nah, I doubt it, because the Nintendo Switch fucking OLED is like at $350. So this has got to be at least like $399.
I was gonna say minimum four. I can see. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5.
What are the screen specs?
I wouldn't be either.
Like, are they even impressive? It just looks like they took a PlayStation 5 controller and just shoved up like a tablet on it.
Bro, honestly, what it looks like is that they took a Switch and they hacked it.
Everybody's trying to be the Switch, bro. But they could have just launched a PSP or something. Like, they could have really committed to being handheld and focused on cloud or something, man.
Oh, right. I saw that and I was like, oh, that's not a PSP. Well, this is shit. Sorry for the cuss. I'm just like, the PSP to me was the epitome of handheld devices. It is what it is. Now the Switch is up there. Sure.
PSP, the epitome of handheld.
That's nostalgia. It's nostalgia, bro.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I think they were ahead of their time on a lot of things, and they failed in a lot of areas. And if they would have just kept going, then it would have been better. But I think the PSP, the 1000, 2000s, and the 3000s before the PS Vita, were pretty amazing. I think they tried to do too much with it in the Vita. I feel like things that we have now wouldn't even be a thing without the Vita, like the Xbox Ready, where you can play wherever you want from your phone, stuff like that. The Vita tried that first. It just failed. It didn't do very well, and they didn't pursue it. That's one of my biggest qualms with Sony, kind of an aside, is the fact that when they do try to innovate something, like actually innovate something, if it's not doing like at least 75 or 80% good, they're not going to keep going to improve on it. They just drop it, then someone else has to come in and scoop it. So,
but like PlayStation,
that's just a business, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. Xbox has been making consoles now for more than a few years. They keep like after the Xbox One, you think, we need something bigger, but it seems they're still kind of falling short on a lot of things, If we were going off of how bad the Xbox One did with no exclusives and stuff like that, and a few other issues every time that a showcase came, not a showcase, E3 and anything they tried to do came out, they would have dropped it. But they're pretty stubborn on keeping going, which I'm happy for. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
So it feels like we're all just collectively shitting on this showcase, and rightfully so. It wasn't a good showcase, but I also am still an optimist. And and try your best to stay away from the obvious, but what stuff other than the obvious do you think looked solid? Like,
okay. I'm gonna.
Was
so
there anything?
It's funny. It's funny that you bring up that question, because that's how I wanted to end the show. Was with exactly that same question. So Well, so thank you for that. So, but I do have some rules to it.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, what was your? Yeah, we've been collectively shitting on it for the past 50 minutes. So yeah, to kind of wrap up the show tonight, we'll go around and we'll start with Jalen. The only rule is it has to be something good that is not Spider-Man.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, that's tough. Give me some.
Okay, but before we do that, then let me just say this: Spider-Man 2 does look absolutely incredible. Craven looks awesome. The stuff that they did with Venom and Peter Parker's attacks look awesome. I like that Spider-Man is actually scary. That's fucking awesome. The design of the lizard is fucking beautiful. I don't quite understand how this is next gen yet, but I'm sure we'll see it soon. And the glider is dope. Okay, I'm set.
It's definitely goatee material for sure.
Okay, so Jalen, what was your favorite part about the showcase that was not Spider-Man?
Okay, other than Spider-Man, which again is fantastic. I will admit, Alan Wake 2 looked pretty sick. Alan Wake 2 looked very nice. I freaking hate that it's only digital. That bites. You guys know that, right?
Nah, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's not getting a physical release. It's only digital.
What?
But it's their logic is they want to keep the price down.
Yeah, I don't have anything physical for years now, so I'm cool with it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I don't have the room for all that anymore.
Alan Wake 2 looked really sick. I'm happy we got a date. This RPG that I saw, the one that people were waiting for really long, like Grand Blue something, that looks very nice. I'll definitely look into that more. I think that's coming out winter 2023. I'll look into that. I love Giant Squid. Journey is one of my favorite games, so seeing Sword of the Sea was a treat. That was beautiful. There was another indie game by the creators of Gris called Neva, I think. Neva?
Neva.
Neva.
Yeah, Neva. Yeah, that one almost got me to tears, actually. That was actually really, that was a beautiful trailer. That was a nice trailer.
Okay, your turn is up. Stevie.
Fair enough.
Stevie, your turn.
The highlight of the entire show, Foam Stars. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, but despite it being an obvious Splatoon ripoff, it did look pretty cool. Go ahead.
Yeah,
but yeah, because Splatoon is amazing. Like,
okay,
yeah,
Stevie, go ahead.
I would say, I can't talk about Spider-Man. The only other game that was like actually had me intrigued and like reacting to live was that Phantom Blade Zero.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping someone would mention that.
Phantom Blade Zero looked fire, man. The gameplay, one of the only other games, right, to get some kind of gameplay kind of footage, right?
Yeah.
So
that's depressing.
Yeah, that looks sick. I'm looking forward to that. Jalen took my other one with Alan Wake. I'm pretty big into the horror games, the spooks. So those are probably my two. Like, if Spider-Man wasn't there, I would have been hyped about these. And yeah, I'm excited about them.
Lucas, your turn.
All right. So, look, man, I don't have a PlayStation 5, and
me neither.
Yeah, so like, nothing that was shown in this showcase would make me excited enough to go spend the money to get one, even though I would love to play Spider-Man 2.
That is very valid. Like, as someone who like is mostly a Sony person, that is yeah.
Yeah, just nothing really like was like, dude, I gotta own one now. I have no choice. Like,
sad but true.
Yeah,
but like, to be honest, I mean, it wasn't like bad. I think I think it was very middle for me. Like, just,
you can say that it's bad. It's okay.
I mean,
very
like yeah, it's very mid, dude. But like the
But see, that's the issue, though. This can't be mid. This was a PlayStation showcase, the last one since September of 2021. It didn't. It shouldn't have just been good. It had to be great to meet people's expectations,
The
and
positivity.
it fell way below everyone's. So
we're supposed to be positive, guys.
Oh yeah, we gotta be positive. All right.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start over. Lucas, one more time.
Okay, my bad. So, but I mean, obviously there are some games that look amazing, and I want them to do well. Like I want Spider-Man and Final Fantasy to do well. I want, just because I'm a fan of gaming at the end of the day. Like I'm not rooting against Sony. So I was like really trying to be open-minded about certain things, but like obviously the third-party titles are the ones that caught my attention the most. That like Dragon's Dogma 2 looks like it's going to be dope. I have like this weird connection with the first one. I don't know. I have it on the Switch. So I never played it. Like, I think it came out on like 360 or something. But it was like one of the first games I got on the Switch randomly on sale, like in the eShop. And it's actually pretty underrated, I think. And this one looks like just fun, man. I'm a sucker for a good RPG. But yeah, that Alan Wake 2, Phantom Blade looked cool, but like I don't know if like some of these games are made for me. Like I want to like Metal Gear, but I suck at stealth games. But I understand why people like Metal Gear, like the series, so much. And but honestly, I just gotta say like Dragon's Dogma. I think if it wasn't Spider-Man 2, which I even have some things about Spider-Man 2 that I'm kind of like, man, like a lot's going on, man. I didn't know Miles could fly. I didn't know he could do the Kamehameha. Like he's shooting lightning ball bolts and stuff. He's doing a lot of stuff.
The wingsuit is it's new to this game.
You're Superman 64 with Miles in this game, dude. You're flying through rings and like air currents to get to like, dude, that game is fast. Like you're gonna be able to move through the map like crazy fast. But yeah. But other than that, yeah, man, I'm just gonna wrap it up with Dragon's Dogma 2, though, dude.
Okay, Jeremiah, you still with us?
I know you compare Spider-Man to the Superman.
That is pretty rough. Like that's pretty bad. But like, okay. Anyways, Jeremiah, your final thoughts, positive thoughts.
Hi-Fi Rush was an amazing game.
And Redfall's not that bad.
No, but serious though, there were some things that caught my eye. I guess if I was going off, the first one that caught my eye was Helldivers 2. Though I do wish it would have been a Starship Troopers game. It still was pretty great, looked pretty funny, and I'm going to consider it Starship Troopers, so I would definitely try that out. Sword of the Sea caught my eye as well. And I'm really hopeful that's going to look pretty dope, Really, I guess that would have been it for me. Dragon's Dogma 2, but so admittedly, it's been so long. I'd have to go play Dragon's Dogma again. It was very fun when I played it. I know some friends who got really big into the cult of that game. I feel, and I don't disagree with them. It was just more about it's fun for what it is. It just wasn't what was interesting me, but I did think that when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's good, because I've heard nothing but good things about it. But for my personal taste, the two that I'm looking at is Sword of the Sea and Helldivers 2. So,
wait, you said just can't say Spider-Man, right? Like, Final Fantasy count?
16.
Yeah, Final Fantasy.
You can Fantasy 16.
Sure,
I mean,
counts.
That.
Sure.
I mean, but I don't have a PS5 yet, and I keep
the problem that I have with the problem that I have is that we got a Final Fantasy showcase like a month and a half ago, and it was fantastic. And I know that like Final Fantasy 16 is like a month away, and they wanted to plug it one more time. But this would have been a good opportunity to give us something for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. We already know that Final Fantasy 16. We already know that Final Fantasy 16 is coming out. It's like so like that trailer did absolutely nothing for me.
When's Rebirth come out? Or
Winter.
Next year.
It's either they just last year when they announced it, it just said next winter. So that could mean a couple things. So in Japan, winter does typically, I mean, at least for anime season, winter is January through March. So it could be January of it could be sometime early next year. But my guess is that they will probably want to capitalize on the holiday season. So I would not be surprised if we see it this year. So I hope it's this year, because that would be crazy to get 2 large Final Fantasy games in a single year.
Wait, why didn't we get Spider-Man 2 release date though? Like, it doesn't feel close enough.
Good question, man.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been a good opportunity to announce that, but I did see something today. Jalen, did Khaled post that about like what Yuri Lowenthal and Laura Bailey are doing?
No, actually, that was me.
That was you?
That basically, yeah. And that basically said that Spider-Man 2 is supposed to show up for the next Future Game show on June 19th.
So they'll probably announce I wouldn't be surprised if they do a release date then, if they're going to have 2 of the main actors hosting that thing. Okay, so to wrap it up, my favorite part of the show was when it ended. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate you guys all being here. I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. No, some of the indies look cool. Honestly, like, I was so unimpressed that I somewhat lost focus during it because I was also working. But anyways, thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Okay, cool.